time for banger brawler ideas. Now, I don't think you can do a brawler video idea without giving a shout out to I Ran Out of Names. Like, because seriously, he does the majority of brawler ideas, and he or she is really good at it. All right, now check out Courtney, the tennis star of Brawl Stars. Oh god, sorry, that was really cringe. Anyways, so her main attack, okay, she fires out 3 tennis balls, okay, kind of like a Rico attack that can bounce off walls, but it's only 3 balls instead of a bunch of them, and each one does more damage, but they're also like more spread out distance-wise and time-wise, so you're also probably not gonna hit all 3 balls most of the time. And then her super, she plops down a tennis ball launching machine that fires out indefinitely, but it doesn't fire out like that many tennis balls at once, and of course it has a set amount of health, kind of like a turret. You can destroy it, and in this case, I don't know if it decays over time, but it would probably make sense because that sounds broken otherwise. But even though it can technically fire out indefinitely, it only fires out in one direction, so you do have to be careful where you place it. You know, if you aim poorly, well, I guess it's like a lot of supers that can get wasted. Her first star power I really like. It allows her attack where if it hits an enemy, it also bounces off the enemy now and can keep on bouncing and hit another person. Not exactly like a Jessie attack where it just finds the nearest closest enemy. It just bounces off them. So it might not necessarily lead to more hits, but potentially it could, and that's kind of cool. And her gadget summons a tennis net in front of her, which, you know, it's kind of just like a net, so it slows people down. Or what about Moxie, the carnival game operator at Star Park? She has a gun that she fires out, but she only has 1 ammo. And the gun has some unique effects. First of all, it can bounce off walls, but only once. And if you hit an enemy, your reload speed gets cut in half. So if you miss, you got a long reload and you only have 1 ammo, so she really can't spam shots. But if you're able to hit your shots, ooh, you should probably watch out. And with her super, she fires out a special bullet that can pierce through walls and enemies, but also if enemies are below a certain amount of health, the bullet will deal a bunch more damage. So basically, if the enemy is low health, it becomes an instant KO, no matter whether it's Frank or Tick. And Moxie's star power will really reward people who can accurately hit shots, because if you get a kill with her first star power, it gives her a 10% shield that lasts permanently until she dies, and it can stack up to a 30% shield. So if you're really able to get kills, you could become incredibly strong. Or with her second star power, if you land 3 shots in a row, you get a huge speed boost for a short time, maybe allowing her to escape from those tanks that may charge at her and, you know, probably sometimes get easy shots on them. And her gadget's in a similar vein as well. If you hit her next shot, it's gonna heal her, but the further away the enemy is, the more you get healed. So it rewards your skill. Or what about Rotor, a robot who supplies party supplies like balls and paper airplanes? All right, but his mechanics are pretty cool. His attack, he throws out a popper mine. Basically, if you step on it, it explodes, or after a short amount of time, it explodes. But even though he can only throw it a short distance, he can then kick the mine a far distance, so you can sort of trick the enemy and maybe play around with where it's actually going. And then his super's kind of in a similar vein. He folds a paper airplane and places it on the ground, and then you hit it again, and then it goes forward and it drops all these popper mines along the way. So his attack and super are kind of these like 2-stage mechanics. Oh, and apparently even allies can kick the popper mines. Oh, that sounds really interesting, honestly, because it could totally confuse the enemy, but also randoms. Not sure how well that would work with randoms. All right, now what about Chase? This brawler, raised by coyotes, ended up being adopted by Belle. Interesting, but the attack in super is a really unique mechanic that I love. First of all, Chase's attack throws a dog treat that if you hit an enemy, it marks them, kind of like a Belle attack. But by itself, it doesn't serve any purpose until you get to the super. And that super summons 2 coyotes. Those coyotes will immediately go attack whatever enemy is marked. But if there's no enemy marked, they just sit there. They don't do anything. They want the dog treat, right? But I think maybe if there's an enemy like right next to the coyotes, they will attack them. But, you know, if they move away, they'll stop unless they're marked. And one of the star power scavengers is really interesting as well. Whenever your coyotes get a kill, they drop some bones on the ground that you or your allies can pick up, and if you pick them up, they heal you. Now, they do disappear if you don't pick them up after a certain amount of time, but you know, that mechanic of getting a kill and getting rewarded for it as part of your like base kit, I think that's pretty sweet. Or what about the ultimate housemaid, Victoria? Her attack, she of course has a little dust broom that she sweeps back and forth when she hits enemies. She sweeps twice, okay, but it's really short range. And then her super, Clyde, the ultimate clean zone, she jumps into an area and drops a little like loose-sized zone, and in that zone, she gains a shield, and she can't be stunned, poisoned, or slowed. I mean, basically, she's keeping herself as clean as possible. And with her star powers, you can buff that super. With her first star power, her allies get those buffs and bonuses as well. And with her second star power, it slows down enemies that are in that zone. And interesting first gadget, kind of like Nani's gadget, where it reflects damage she takes, but unlike Nani, she actually takes the full damage, but also it lasts for a full 3 seconds. For however much you get attacked during that, it'll reflect a portion of it back, but it doesn't shield you. But still, pretty interesting. Or what about Dennis the Dentist? Now, Dennis, of course, he wields a toothbrush to attack his enemies, and kind of like a BB attack, he swipes, but he actually swipes backwards as well. So 2 attacks with the toothbrush. And unique mechanic alert with Dennis, if you hit an ally with the very edge of the toothbrush, basically you're brushing their teeth, you heal them. Okay. Or if you hit an enemy and you're brushing the enemy's teeth, I guess violently, you deal more damage. And then the super sends out like a mini toothbrush that goes back and forth really fast, and it in kind of like a short area, and it can either heal allies or damage enemies. Pretty cool. And with his first star power, you add some toothpaste and it slows the enemies down when they're in the super. Okay, nice. Or how about this? With the second star power, if you heal an ally with his toothbrush, it also gives them a small shield. Now, there's a really interesting healer, but of course, it's a healer that only works in close range. The Brawler we've been waiting for every update, Kid. Let's bring Kid in game. Come on. A really cool idea for the main attack. Every time you hit an enemy and it does damage, it gives Kid a shield, and the shield increases in strength every time you hit an enemy. But if you don't hit someone after so many seconds, the buff will reset back to 0. So if you keep hitting people, the buff will keep getting stronger and stronger, and you'll just have that shield, and it could become amazing. But if you just miss all your shots, sorry, goodbye shield. Her super's also pretty sweet. She gains a machine gun that has a set amount of ammo, only 4 ammo slots, so it won't reload. You fire those 4 and then it's out of ammo. But of course it's a machine gun, so it has a ton of ammo and it fires really fast. I mean, you know, kind of like probably a better Pam attack. Or alternatively, you can throw it on the ground and then she can go on and, like, you know, hop on the machine gun and now I'm not gonna read the full kits of every brawler for the sake of time, but I'm just gonna go over the most important and unique stuff, and I'll put it on screen though, so if you want to pause it and read it all, you can. I really like these gadget ideas. For the first one, it converts that shield that can increase in strength, and it changes it from shielding you to now increasing your damage for a couple seconds by whatever percentage it was that you had built up. Or alternatively, her other gadget kicks enemies away, deals damage, and reduces how much their super was charged. I think that reducing how charged the super is for an enemy is a unique mechanic that's not in Brawl Stars that honestly we'll probably get eventually. All right, now check out Petra the Painter, who apparently really needs a shower. Anyways, her main attack is really unique. She uses her hair, I guess, and whips out, and she has paint attached to her hair, so when she whips it, it's like splashing enemies, but it fires out in kind of like a U shape, and then it also goes straight back as well. But I think it would be hard to hit an enemy with both of the whips at the same time. Regardless, you kind of get this like whiplash effect going on, so you can hit them once or twice or whatever. And then her super, she fires out a ring of paint, and it's kind of like a spike super, but the area is very different. Instead of it being a huge circle, it's just a ring. And if you touch that ring, you take a lot more damage and you get slowed down. But of course, it's a little easier to avoid, but you might also just get trapped because of it too. And if you have her second star power drawn together, it'll cause that super to shrink down as it's happening, so the enemy really has nowhere to go. If you enjoyed this, check out more great new brawler ideas right over there. I'm sure you'll also enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Peace.